Hello, welcome back to Live by Iris. So I haven't made a video since April, which means I failed again at my last year's resolution to post more often. But I do always try to make this year-end video. I think it's a nice way to look back on my reading year. So for 2025, I read 57 books in total if we are only looking at fiction novels, not including art books, photography, or manga. I wouldn't say it was particularly amazing reading year because I didn't have a big number of 5-star reads, but most of the books I picked up were good. Today I'm sharing my 10 favorite fiction books from 2025. 2 of them are technically rereads because I don't have enough 5-star books to be putting on the list. So let's just hang out and talk about the books that really stuck with me. I'm not ranking them, I will just talk about them in the order I read them. Okay, I'll start with an honorable mention first. I don't normally do this, but this year I just had to talk about The Wall by Martin Haushofer. This is a really introspective story about a woman who finds herself all alone after something happens. We never really find out what happened. It seems like she might be the last person on Earth. The story isn't about what happened though, it's about how she gets through each day, how she survives. She starts looking after a small farm and cares for the animals that are left, and she just lives. The main character reminded me so much of Janina from Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. That same strong, thoughtful, observant, resilient spirit. It feels almost like a sequel of What Happens After for someone like her. I give this book 4.5 stars. I absolutely enjoyed it, but I did think it could have been a bit shorter in places. Still, a feeling it creates, that profound solitude and the connections she makes with the animals and nature, that whole question of what it means to survive versus what it means to actually live, it's just unforgettable. Right after I finished The Wall, I picked up my first real favorite of the year, the Hopkins manuscript by R.C. Sheriff. They were the perfect pair to read back to back. This story is told as a diary by a retired Englishman living in a small village outside of London. He is one of the first people to get some huge news: the moon is going to crash into Earth. The book is on his account of what happens next, the time leading up to it, and right after the moon hits, how the world tries to keep going. And this protagonist, this old man, is what makes the book so good. He is not a typical hero. He's flawed, and he can be a bit petty, even small-minded sometimes, but that's why it's so powerful. He's just deeply, beautifully human. You see all his little moments, his small hopes, how he clings to his routine, and these unexpected bits of bravery and courage. I just love how the story builds. It starts with this almost normal everyday curiosity about the news, and then turn into this tense, desperate hope as it gets closer, and finally lands in a sad and devastating reality. It's not really about the disaster though, it's about the people and how they break or how they shine under this huge pressure. It was so moving. If you like character-driven stories or thoughtful books about the end of the world, I really can't recommend this enough. It's a hidden gem that stayed with me all year. Now, my second favorite on the list is The City and Its Uncertain Walls by Haruki Murakami. I waited until last year to read it because I really wanted to get hold of a paperback copy. If you haven't read it, it starts with a man gets this very strange job in a remote town. He's basically a dream reader. In this town, it's not normal. It feels like it's in its own little world with its own rules. Things are just off, like shadows might be missing, time feels different. The story goes back and forth between the strange place and the regular world, and as this man tries to figure out what he's doing in both worlds. Now, if that sounds familiar, it really is. It's a classic Murakami, that dreamy sense of searching, full of unexplained things. Believe me, there are a lot of things that are not answered at the end of the book, but those are all the things I love about his stories, and the pace, particularly in this place, just really works for me. The writing isn't in a rush, it takes its time. Some people might find it slow or think he's kind of repeating himself, or I also heard people saying this book doesn't need to be this long, but for me, that repetition was comforting. I really didn't want it to end. I just want to stay in that quiet, sad mood forever. If you have never read Murakami, I think this is actually a great place to start. But I also have an old video talking about where to start Murakami properly. If you're interested, I will leave the link below. The third book is a book from my new favorite author. I was so excited for her new release last year, which is A Vanishing World. It did not disappoint. This is a UK copy I got, and it has her signature. Let me show you guys. I read this one on my Kindle. I didn't want to annotate on this copy. But anyway, in this book, Murata imagines a Japan that's gone in a totally different direction. In this society, having a baby the natural way, it seems as strange, almost shocking, it's taboo. Everyone uses artificial insemination, that's just normal. So the story follows a woman named, actually, I can't remember what's her name. Anyway, it's this woman. She was actually born the old-fashioned way, which is her embarrassing secret, and she just can't help it, has these feelings and desires that her society says are wrong. So to try and fit in, she and her husband moved to an experimental town. This place takes the new rules to the extreme. Kids are raised by everyone. Men can get pregnant with these artificial wombs they carry around. It's a total rewrite of what family and love even mean. So if you know how Murata works, she finds one strange rule and then she just runs with it. She asks, what if this wasn't just a weird idea? What if this was normal for everyone? So she's not writing about one person who doesn't fit in. She's writing about an entire world where everybody fits in by being strange in the exact same way. It's just so clever. I love how she writes though, like so matter of fact and straightforward, which makes everything feels even more powerful and strange. If you like books that makes you think, you should pick this one up. It's one of those stories just sticks with you. Next is a book that feels like coming home. It's a reread for me, Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. It was translated by Megan Backus. It's a very short book with 2 simple stories. The title story, Kitchen, is about a young woman who has just lost her grandmother or grandfather. I think it's grandmother. Anyway, it's her last family member, and she's completely alone in her grief. Then, almost by accident, she was taken in by a kind young man and his mother. It's a very short book, so I won't say much more. But it's about finding a soft place to land after something terrible and how we heal through small, kind acts. I first read this book almost 20 years ago. I honestly don't remember the story at all anymore, but I must have loved it because for years, whenever someone mentioned Banana Yoshimoto, I'd always say, oh, I love her writing. So I guess that feeling just stuck. And back to March last year, I was traveling and had some time to kill at San Francisco airport. I stopped by Green Apple bookstore and came across this book on the shelf. I picked it up on a whim and ended up reading the whole thing in one sitting on the plane. The feeling of the story is just unmatched. It's filled with warmth of home, but also this gentle sadness about change and loss. What hit me the most this time was how timeless it feels. It could be said in the 80s when it was written, or today, or in the near future. So nothing feels like ties it down. That floaty, timeless feeling is my favorite. It makes the feelings, the grief, the thankfulness, the love feels like they could be anyone's at any time. It's a very short book, but it's so full of heart. It's exactly what you need sometimes. If you want a book that feels like a warm hug, or just want a good cry, or a story that's kind and deeply moving, please read this one. It's a beautiful little book. I know I'll read again and again. Now, this next book was a wonderful surprise. It's On Something by Tilly Walden. It's super heavy. It's a science fiction graphic novel. I actually bought this book for my daughter and she loved it. She carried it everywhere, read it again and again, and she liked it so much she just talked me into reading it myself. The story is about a girl named Mia. In the present time, she's part of a small spaceship crew. Their job is so cool. They travel through space and fix up old, mysterious buildings. The story also goes back to her past, to her time at a boarding school in space, where she falls in love with a girl named Grace. The whole book is her journey across the universe and through her memories, trying to find her way back to the lost love and some peace and closure. The art is stunning. It's all these sweet pink colors. You see deep blues and golds that makes the space feel huge and quiet, and it's beautiful at the same time. The heart of the book is the story. It's about found family with this crew of misfits and about the ache of first love that never really goes away. And I love that all the main characters, actually all the people in the books, are either women or non-binary. They're all shown with such depth and strength. It's a really special book. If you like soft science fiction, amazing art, or stories about finding your people, you should read this one. It's a masterpiece, and I'm so glad my daughter made me to read. And next one we have Foe by Ian Reid. I don't have the copy with me because I lent it to my friend. I guess, surprised but not surprised, his book is on my top 10 list again. This is a science fiction about a married couple, Julia and Henrietta. They lived alone on a remote farm, totally isolated from the world, which we don't know why. Their life gets completely upside down when a stranger shows up at their door one day, and he comes up with a strange offer, or almost like an order. He tells Julia he's been selected for a long trip into space, and that simple offer is all it takes. From that moment on, the story becomes this tense, slow burn examination of their marriage, what they trust, what they doubt, and what they think is real. Again, this wasn't a perfect 5-star book for me, but like his other book, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, I flew through it. It was so gripping. The way Ian Reid writes, it's so visual. It feels less like reading, but more like watching a creepy psychological movie. The tension in this book isn't in big actions. It's about the quiet parts, the awkward silences between the couple, the strange looks, what they don't say. He has a way of making normal things feel strange and scary. It gives you this low dread. And the twists, I won't say anything, of course, but they are so good. They don't feel forced. They feel like the only way it could end, and then it makes you rethink everything you just read. It's one of those books that gets under your skin. If you like books that are all about a creepy mood or just a story you can't put down, you have to try this. Now we have High Rise by J.G. Ballard. This book just clicked with me in a big time. It's become one of my favorites of all time. The story is about a brand new, super fancy apartment building. It has everything: supermarkets, banks, entertainment center, its own school. The people who moved in are all successful professionals, but then almost right away, little things started breaking. The power goes out, the elevators stop, trash piles up, and as the small systems fail, the social rules between the people fail even faster. The whole building, floor by floor, falls into chaos. It's really a story about how thin the line is between being civilized and just becoming savage. I flew through this book. It's so good. From page 1, Ballard's writing is amazing. It makes the whole story feels so real and scary. He shows this whole social collapse with a scary step-by-step logic. You watch it happen like a slow train wreck, and you understand every bad choices they made. It's a very dark and bleak book for sure, but it's done so well that I was completely hooked. I always love Ballard's writing, and this book is a masterpiece. So smart, and it sticks with you. If you like a book that's smart and impossible to put down, you have to read this one. It's a wild, scary, and unforgettable ride. And we have another Murakami. It's none other than 1QA4. It was a long-awaited reread for me. This book is a big commitment. It's huge, over 1,200 pages in 3 parts. I read part 1 and part 2 when they first came out years ago. And I just never got a chance to read part 3 because when it came out, I felt I needed to go back and live in that world again first. So 2025 was the year I did the whole thing. If you haven't read it, it's this huge story about 2 people basically. There's Aomame, a fitness instructor who's an assassin, and Tango, a math teacher who's also a novelist. Their lives seem separate, but they are both pulled into the strange version of 1984, a world with 2 moons. The book follows their paths as they try to understand this new reality and find their way back to each other. The whole thing feels like a dream. The 2 moons, the assassin, the cult, the search for connection in the world, which is a little off. But at its heart, it's an epic story about loneliness and longing, about finding someone who gets your strange world. Now, I know a lot of people nowadays have mixed feelings about Murakami. I totally get it. I see the flaws people talk about, especially how he writes about women's bodies. It can feel a little off, and it's definitely in this book. But for me, his writing just works. Even with those things, I get completely swept away. I just love how he tells the story, that specific lonely, moody feeling he creates. It just clicks for me. Doing the whole big book was so rewarding. If you love big, dreaming stories, or if you are ever being curious but worry about the size or his reputation, maybe give it a try. Go in knowing its flaws and see if the magic pulls you in. For me, it does. And this book is so special, very haunting, and memorable experience. And the 8th book on the list, we have Exonation by Ted Chiang. It's a short stories collection and also science fiction, but not the space opera kind of science fiction. I have to be honest, I went into this book thinking, I love his other books so much. How can this be better? But it is. I think I love this one even more. It's so rare that I love every single stories in the collection, but with this one, I did. I was mind-blowing for every single one. Every story starts with one simple idea, like there was one about a device that lets you see your own past, that you can retrieve any memory anytime you want. Another one is about like raising digital animals as pets. So every time it starts feeling very simple, gentle, and calm, and then the story just hits you. I was floored. The way he thinks, the way he writes, It's so clever and so human. He builds this huge emotional weight from just one simple idea. This is a book that I couldn't stop thinking about for weeks after my mind just kept going back one story or another. It really sticks with you in the best way. If you like stories that make you think or just want to read something truly deeply clever, you should read this one. I promise you'll find something in here that stays with you. Finally, I read the last 2 books on my list, both in December. They were the last books I finished in 2025. They are very different, but they both hit me hard. The second to last book is A Short Stay in Hell by Stephen L. Peck. I don't have a physical copy of this book yet. The basic idea: a man dies and finds himself in the afterlife. It's a tiny book you can read in one setting, but it has a huge impact. It's kind of philosophical horror, I'd say. The idea is really scary, but it's written in this calm, beautiful way. It completely changed how I see a lot of things. It reminded me a bit of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream by Harley Allison, but this one felt more profound in a more strange way and more human for sure. My advice is go in knowing nothing and just experience it all at once. It's very unforgettable reading experience, I promise you. And last but not least, I have To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. This was my second Woolf. I read Mrs. Dalloway a few years ago. The story is very simple at surface. It's about the Ramsey family and their friends on holiday at their summer house on the Isle of Skye. A lot of it hangs on the simple plans to take a boat to a lighthouse, but that's not what the book is really about. The real story is inside their heads. It's a masterpiece of stream of consciousness, of course. Instead of following a plot, you are reading their flowing thoughts, their memories, impressions, regrets, and whatnot. I've been to Scotland, and Virginia Woolf's descriptions of Isle of Skye, the sea, the light, the feeling are so vivid. I could see it perfectly in my head. A very dense book, I would say. I won't lie, it's only less than 300 pages, but it's not quick. It took me a while to find its reason. It definitely asks your patience, but once I got into it, I felt completely in love. The writing is incredibly beautiful. You don't just read about these people, you feel everything between the lines. Like the tension in a marriage, how a child sees the world, and the loneliness of an artist trying to catch a single moment. It's a challenging read. It's not a book you want to rush, but if you want a patient, deeply moving experience, something that changes how you think your memory, time, and what's inside person's mind, you should read this one. It's completely worth it. So these are the stories that really stayed with me in 2025. Thank you truly for spending this time with me and listening. I was really trying to make it short, but when I started talking about the book I love, I just can't stop yapping. I would really love to hear from you. What were your favorite books of 2025, or what are you reading right now? Please let me know in the comments. Winter is always my favorite season for reading, or just in general. I love winter time. It's dark by 4 p.m. here, and for my work, it's slow season. I'm not traveling as much. It just feels like perfect time to stay in, get comfortable, and really lose myself in a book. It's the coziest time for reading. I hope the new year brings you many peaceful, cozy hours with a wonderful book. And take care and happy reading. Bye.